الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين مع بعد. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم رب زدني علما. So continuing with the narrative of post-Badr, of course we mentioned about that, and we mentioned about how now Quraysh is on their back foot, really shaken up, and the Muslims who were lam yakun shay'an madhkura, they were hardly anything to be mentioned. Now they have become a regional threat, very major regional threat, after being something of a few shadhimatun qalilun, as it were, a very small contingency, not frightening anyone. Now things have totally changed. Not only that, as we mentioned, the trade route of Quraysh is cut off. They're under economic pressure. They are suffering that defeat and humiliation in front of all the Arab tribes. So what to do, as we mentioned, that now they have decided there's nothing left except to make an attempt for another military, a surgical operation to bring back their high standing among the Arab tribes and do away with Islam altogether. That's their only hope. So as we mentioned also that the caravan of Abu Sufyan, which escaped, which was the whole reason for the skirmish at Badr, and that caravan which escaped, it was a very big caravan, a lot of money was made, and they dedicated all of the money that was made for that caravan for this battle. Not only that, they sent out envoys to the various tribes seeking help from anyone who would join along with them. In Tihama, Kinana, also some of the Habashis, of the Abyssinians, and of course they also had their issues. So whoever they could get to muster together to join them for this campaign. And in terms of weaponry, they were purchasing weapons right, left, front, and center, wherever they could get. And so they mustered together 3,000 individuals. And among them were 14 women. And the Arabs, when they used to fight, the women would come along. For what? The women, interestingly, would be there to sing and dance, and sort of like we have in our American sports world, we have the cheerleaders, the cheer section. So they were kind of like the cheer section. And not only that, but unlike the American cheerleaders, if they were suffering a defeat, so the women would say, you're not touching us until you go back and fight that enemy. They were very tough women. And at the front of them was Hind bint Utbah, the wife of Abu Sufyan, who, if you remember, her father, her uncle, her brother, they were all killed in Badr, and she's right in the forefront, looking for revenge. And she had also pledged that, that the killer of her father, who was Hamza, that she would, that she made an oath that she must have him killed, and detailed and delegated Wahshi, if you remember this, the fellow, the slave who was very good at spear throwing, and guaranteed him his freedom if he would, do the needful. So all of this was together, along with, there was a fellow by the name of Abu Amr al-Rahib. So this fellow, very interestingly, he was from the tribe of Aus. He was really from Medina. And he was called Abu Amr al-Rahib, Rahib meaning the monk. So he had knowledge of the previous books. And in fact, it's mentioned about him, Wallahu alam, that he in fact knew about the description of the Prophet ﷺ, just as the Jews did. And in fact, he used to give these, descriptions that the Prophet is coming and he's like this, he's like that. But when he came, it was similar to the Jews and similar to Abdullah ibn Ubay, because he was the chieftain of Aus, just as Abdullah ibn Ubay was the chief of Khazraj. And so just as Abdullah ibn Ubay was hoping to become the chief of his tribe, so similarly, Abu Amr, the Rahib, as he was called, he was hoping to become the chief. Now, when the Prophet ﷺ came and he becomes the chief, and their chieftainships were snatched away, and sort of the carpet was pulled from under their feet. So arrogance, pride, played its major part, and rather than taking this as a great blessing, they took it as a very bad omen, and they just opposed. So, of course, Abdullah ibn Ubay, his strategy was to, destroy from within, and he was the, he took the path of nifaq, of hypocrisy. Whereas Abu Amr, he flatly, refused to accept Islam and opposed. Not only that, he left Medina with 50 of his, constituency, and they went to Makkah, and they were, encouraging Quraysh, get up and do something, right? Because he had his chieftainship that he was also interested in regaining, and so he also was there to support Quraysh, and he also told Quraysh, look, I'm the chieftain of Aus. Don't worry about Aus. I'm their big shot, and if I tell them, look, don't fight, you watch, when we get there, they'll all go back home. Well, of course, that didn't happen. Yeah, the times had changed quite drastically. But in any case, he was quite certain that that's what was going to happen. Very interestingly, this Abu Amr, who Nabi ﷺ, he was known as the Rahib, as the monk. So Rasulullah ﷺ renamed him Abu Amr the Fasiq, the one who was the evil doer, and the one who has gone out of the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this same Abu Amr, his son Hanbala, Allahu Akbar, was one of the early martyrs of Uhud, and actually his son is also known as Hanbala Ghasil al-Malaika, the one whom the angels gave the bath. What happened was that he was just married, and he was on his wedding night, and then the news came that Nabi ﷺ, the defeat is taking place, and the Muslims are having a problem in Uhud. He jumped up and he took off. Just imagine that. Even before he could perform the ghusl, and he left, and he went into the battle and fought and was killed. Now, the shaheed